Hey, Fred Minnick here, and we've got 6 bourbons you need on your list, whether you're a grizzled veteran or new to bourbon. All right, here we go. Giddy up. So there's one similarity between all of these bourbons that I have here for you today on this list of 6 that you must pick up. They are all bottled in bond. Bottled in bond is a very special term in American whiskey. It means it has to be at least 4 years old, distilled at one distillery in one distilling season, and it must be 100 proof, and they have to tell you a bunch of stuff on the label. Now, I've got a link in the description to tell you more about bottled in bond and also some call-outs for some other products for your consideration. So I'm going to tell you now the 6 bottles that I think everybody should have. Let's start with Jim Beam Bonded. Now, this is an easy-to-find product. You can get it in most of the stores. It's going to cost you between $20 and $30, so it's not breaking the bank, and I love this product. You can also look at Old Tub or Old Grandad, some other Beam Suntory bottled in bond products, but this one to me has this really beautiful cornbread note with a little salt and pepper in it, just a touch of honey. Big fan of Beam Bonded, and you know what? It does really exceptional in blind tastings. So buy this. It's not going to break the bank, and whether you're sipping it yourself or sharing it with friends, you know, it's a good bottle to have around the house. Now, this next bottle is probably going to be a little controversial. This is George Dickel Bottled in Bond. Now, you may see here it says Tennessee Whiskey. Well, when in fact, Tennessee Whiskey is a bourbon, but it must be in Tennessee, and it has to go through a charcoal mellowing process before it goes into the barrel. You can see the state legislation also in the description. Like, this is a state rule, but when countries negotiate with the United States of America, they must adhere to our terms and standards of what bourbon is, and they also agree to what Tennessee whiskey is, which, as you will see in like the North America Free Trade Agreement, they state that it is bourbon. It is straight bourbon made in Tennessee with a charcoal mellowing process. That is a long-standing debate. It's kind of like who's the best quarterback of all time. Well, we have those debates all the time, but even at Jack Daniels, they tell you it is bourbon. Anyway, so that being said, a lot of people do not like Dickel. There is kind of a mineral note to it. There's often what I would equate to being a Flintstone vitamin or a dehydrated orange. That can be kind of off-putting. I have found that the bottled in bond does have that note, but, that's not always off-putting to me. I like it when it expresses itself in like the citrus form, but this one does have, to me, the caramel in this one is quite a bit pronounced. So it is really good for the money. You're looking at $40 to $50. You can find it in most markets. The next one is probably going to be one of the more difficult ones on this list for you to look at, and that's 1792 Bottled in Bond. And this one is going anywhere between $30 and $50. Now, this is connected to Sazerac. So this is owned by Sazerac, which is the 1792 Barton, formerly the Tom Moore Distillery, formerly Barton Distillery. I think they've changed the name of that place like 10 times in the last 20 years. But it is a sister distillery to Buffalo Trace, so it's caught up in a lot of that. But what the Barton Distillery is it is mostly a private label plant now, and they're also selling their whiskey off in wholesale. So when you see Kentucky straight bourbon from someone that doesn't have a distillery, there's an incredibly good chance that it came from 1792 Barton. Now, why this bottle is so significant, you're only paying $30 for this one, whereas if somebody bought this from them at wholesale on the brokerage side and then bottled it themselves, they would be charging $70 to $120 for what's inside here. So if you've ever wanted to test something that's made from a distiller versus a source purveyor, this is a really, really good one to do it. 1792 has several expressions. This is their Bottled in Bond one. Happens to be my favorite. It has a very beautiful Bananas Foster note with some undertones of like vanilla and caramel. But this is a great value, great value. And it's also kind of fun to see, how that would taste off against something that, is twice as expensive. It's fun, so taste for yourself on that one for sure. So what I think is the greatest value, I think this is the greatest value in bourbon. In fact, this is one of my best value bourbon a couple years ago in like a blind tasting, and that is Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. You can find this for $16. So Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, this is just absolutely good whiskey, and it outpours everything under $20. I mean, if you are looking for value, if you don't have a whole lot of coin to drop on bourbon, and you just want something to drink, Evan Williams Bottled and Bond is going to be there for you every time. That flavor gives a nice, beautiful like nutmeg. There's some pumpkin notes in there. There's some caramel. This has a lot going on. And if you blind taste this up against some other things, there's no way you're going to call this out for being a $16 bourbon. So a lot of value here. And the parent company behind it is Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill has a lot of Bottled and Bond products. They are probably the most important distiller for Bottled and Bond. They kind of brought it back. They have a brand ambassador named Bernie Lubbers, who has a big old tattoo on his arm that says Bottled and Bond. And they have put a lot of effort into it. But there's the other side of it is like they bought all of these labels back in the day, and they were all Bottled and Bond, and they haven't changed them. So if you get a JTS Brown label or a JW Dant label, it says Bottled and Bond on it, it's very close to the label from like the 1960s. So pretty nice little fact for you there. But Evan Williams is their front runner of that value category, and it's the one that's on most shelves. So you can find Evan Williams in most places. Look for the white label of Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. Now, this next one is kind of an ode to the craft distillers. So craft distillers are people who, make small quantities in comparison to the large distillers like Jim Beam, Dickel, Barton, Sazerac, and of course Heaven Hill, the bottles we previously talked about. And they are making, small batches, small runs, doing the best they can with what they have. And now that they are getting stuff out of age, they're coming out with Bottled and Bond products. And this happens to be one of my favorite new bourbons, especially in the Bottled and Bond category of 2021, and that's Chattanooga Whiskey's Bottled and Bond. I think this is absolutely exceptional. This is made in Tennessee. It is a very unique, kind of malty, very incredibly structured, very buttery. I love this product. In fact, I can't say enough good things about what Chattanooga Whiskey is doing, and they're kind of a great example, a great story of how to do bourbon your own way. They really are. They've done an incredible job with their style and what they want to do. And last but not least, Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond. Now, Old Bardstown, this is from Willett. So this is one where, it doesn't have quite the distribution that some of these other products on the table have. However, what they do have is they have a lot in stock in Kentucky, and that always seems to find its way out to distributors and online purveyors. So you can find this bottle. You just have to look for it. Now, from a flavor breakdown for you, I will tell you that this is probably the best pairing, or this or another Willett product is the best pairing with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I am not kidding you. Pour this thing neat, have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, before you go fishing or something like that. That's when I have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But it is an incredible peanut butter forward, almonds, like a little bit of chocolate in there. Just a really exceptional, buy at that $20 to $30 mark. So that's a little look at 6 bourbons that kind of fall into that are Bottled and Bond that I really do recommend. But if we're going to talk about value, which these are in that kind of value conversation, I'm going to say one of the kings of value is going to be Wild Turkey, and definitely Old Forester 100. But I wanted to take this as an opportunity to emphasize the value that you can get in bottle and bond and how that category is growing. So good luck in your hunt to find these 6 pretty easy to get bottles of what I think are exceptional bottles to have in your bar right now. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more about American whiskey, click that subscribe button. Or if you want to become a member and get some inside scoops before anybody else, click the join button. Until next time, cheers. Oh, vodka sucks.